as I got more self-conscious as a teenager and got more cautious about my life and realizing that I was different, and then also realizing that I was a gay kid when I was probably 13, 14 years old, my creativity really got stunted, not from other people, but from myself, because I didn't feel like I could express myself in those ways and survive.
You know, I've been thinking a lot lately about the stories we tell ourselves and how sometimes the loudest voice in our head isn't the one we should be listening to. My friend Oz, that's what everybody calls him now, though his real name is Galen, spent decades drowning out a quieter voice inside him, the one that whispered about colors and canvas, about making something beautiful with his hands. Growing up as a gay kid in a small East Texas town with 76 people in his graduating class, Oz learned early how to make himself invisible. He traded his paintbrushes for agricultural education, his creativity for what he thought masculinity was supposed to look like, military service, marriage to a woman, all the boxes checked. But here's the thing about that quiet voice. It never really goes away. Now at 67, Oz paints every single day in his backyard studio in Dallas, not because he has to, but because, as he puts it, he has to. His abstract work pulses with the kind of raw emotion that only comes when someone finally stops performing and starts creating from their truest self. What I love about Oz's story is how it reminds us that it's never too late to listen to that voice inside you, the one speaking in complete sentences instead of anxious questions, the one that knows exactly who you are, even when the world keeps telling you to be someone else. We're going to talk about coming out twice, once as gay and again as an artist, about the messy middle of every painting and every life, and about why sometimes the bravest thing you can do is finally stop caring what anyone else thinks about your work. Oz, welcome to Art in the Raw. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have this conversation with you, my friend.
Me too. Me too.
So start off with the first question. What kinds of scenes or feelings pulled you toward painting? Or did you paint when you were younger? And especially, how did it work as you were figuring out who you were?
That's a really great question. Yes, I did paint and draw from a very young age. I started out, I guess, like a lot of kids, little kids. I loved comic books as a kid. Not as so much as an adult, but as a child, I was, as a little gay kid in a small town in East Texas. I was always trying to find ways to escape. Didn't know why at the time. Didn't even know I was gay, whatever. But I would draw. I would copy art from comic books, and then I would copy something, like if I'd watch a TV show or something that spoke to me, I would draw a character from that TV show. My grandparents, who basically raised me, they knew I was weird, a little different, so especially my grandmother, she encouraged this part of me, and they would buy me. I don't know if you remember, this may be an old thing because I'm old as dirt, but they used to have these, they were like plaster things that you could paint, like 3-dimensional statues that you could paint. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so my grandmother would she would bring these home and bring all these paintings home and paint by numbers and all this stuff just to encourage me. And then I had this cousin that was an actual art teacher, and she gave me this art course, so that people were constantly encouraging this, which I feel very fortunate that was the case. Now,
they saw something in you.
Yeah, they did. And I loved it. And I loved, and I'm also a writer, as you know. And so, writing stories and things like that. I was always a very creative child and always very creative, even a teenager. But as I got more self-conscious as a teenager and got more cautious about my life and realizing that I was different, and then also realizing that I was a gay kid when I was probably 13, 14 years old, my creativity really got stunted, not from other people, but from myself, because I didn't feel like I could express myself in those ways, and survive. I mean, that's just point blank. As I've had lots of therapy and had a lot of time to think about it, I did a lot of things like that to hide the creative side of me, um, obviously the sexual side of me, so many things that made me different and
Hmm.
I think special. I
I do too.
tried to erase them and I tried to um, mute them so I would be
Hmm.
just like everyone else.
Do you think that you suppressed the creative side in you because you were afraid people would see a creative person as gay? Or do you think maybe your creativity would give you away somehow in what you created? Or what made you think to do that?
All of that, um, because people. I mean, I was first, step back a little bit, but not to get into a whole history. But I was a fairly fat kid. I was really smart. I was really nerdy in every possible way you can imagine.
Hmm.
And so, I had 76 people in my graduating class in high school. So, I mean, I stuck out like a sore thumb, and I was trying to
Yeah.
doing everything I could not to. So yeah, it was all of those things because I mean, have really red cheeks. I don't know if you've noticed that, but people would like make fun of me saying I wore makeup, and none of these things were true. These people knew I was different before I did, and
Yeah.
so it was a constant barrage of bullying. It was a constant barrage of, it was more verbal abuse, not really physical abuse, but sometimes I think that's worse.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's constant all through junior high. I don't know. I hit 11th grade and I didn't give a shit, right? I just sort of like said, you know what? I'm older than most of you people now. All the bullies have sort of graduated and gone away. And so I sort of stepped back into my creativity briefly.
Hmm.
And so I entered an art contest or two. And I toyed with the idea of doing something creative um, with my college career.
Hmm.
So the first, this last year or two of high school and first year of college, I was very into photography. And so my first year or two of college, I was into photography and journalism. So writing and photography, they really scratched both of those itches. Um, but I'm from a small town. I was raised on a cattle farm. That's how we made our money. I was feeling guilty because I wasn't following in the family business. I was feeling like my grandparents are paying for this. I have to do something. Again, this is all internal.
Yeah.
No one is pressuring me in any way except for myself.
Yeah. You were
Um,
writing these stories in your head.
hmm And I was telling myself all these things based on, um, I don't even know at this point, because I think it's just based on my circumstances and based on, the messages I was getting the external messages I was getting, not
Yeah.
really trusting, not really trusting, this stuff inside us. That's the real stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so by about, I guess I was a sophomore in college. I switched my major to agricultural education, and that's what I got my degree in from A&M. And so, so then the art thing um, took a back seat for decades. I went to
So
the
you didn't
military.
really do anything creative after college.
Not a lot. I mean, no, not really. It was all. It was all. Was the military. Got married to a woman. Did all these masculine, what I thought were like the things I was supposed to do, and did all of it.
Uh-huh.
Got the degree I thought I was supposed to get because that's what men do. All these things that I thought men were supposed to do, I did them all. Did them all, and then in the late '80s, I couldn't anymore. So, I came out. My wife and I got an annulment. I came out of the closet, and still though, I was always doing creative adjacent things. I was doing a little
Uh-huh.
stupid crafty things, at home, and I was always a student of art. I had my first gay dads, actually, my only gay dads, probably John Arthur. Um, Arthur was this incredible local Dallas sculptor that nobody even remembers anymore from the '80s. Amazing guy. He started pulling me into this creativity space again, this creative space again, and then he died.
Uh-huh.
Died of AIDS. So then I had had all that on top of it. I had all of this going on. I thought, okay, I guess it's just and a lot of this isn't conscious, by the way. All
Yeah.
this back burner stuff is just sort of like, okay, life happens, life happens, life happens. And it just never really resurfaced again until 3 or 4 years ago, I guess,
Yeah.
because um, before I retired from my corporate life, I did sales and marketing for creative companies, by the way, for 30 something years. They were all creative companies, but I was the salesperson. I was the person that would go in and do the initial consultation. I never got to be the creative guy. I always got to be the consultant, but I never got to actually do the stuff.
Yeah.
And I always resented that. Um, anyway, retired early ish. Um, and about a year or two before I retired, I started dabbling again in some, art and doing some drawing and doing some painting a little here and there. But it was sort of a start and stop, start and stop, start and stop.
Yeah. Was that, were you still living in Austin at that time,
And I
or had
was,
you
yeah,
moved to Dallas?
I was
Okay.
I was living in Austin at the time. Um, and it was just, I don't know if this is maybe this is what everybody feels as they age, especially as they get closer to, the last third of their life, right?
Yeah.
It just felt like things got urgent all of a sudden, and things got really clear all of a sudden. It's like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it now, or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, and it was a
I
real,
got
it was
some of that clarity after my heart surgery, and realized, life is too short to not do the
exactly,
things that you want to do.
exactly, exactly right. And you'd think I would have gotten that clarity in 1993. I've been HIV positive since forever, but
Yeah.
again, had all those things in my head going, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to fight the power, blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
all this noise, man. There was all this noise going on. And it's like, is it ever going to shut the fuck up? And I can't even tell you exactly what happened. I mean, I've said this to you before. You're a big part of it. We moved to Dallas for a job, that I took. Hated it. 10 months in, I'm like, I'm done. I come home and tell my husband, I can't do this anymore. And
Yeah.
was and has been very supportive. It hadn't been the easiest on us either, right? I mean, cutting half your income basically has been really, really tough.
Yeah. You.
So I got here and I was more miserable than I was, and I was like, "What is going on? What is?" I mean, my life is really good. I mean, I'm healthy. I have a great marriage. I have, I have really good friends, and what is missing? And I don't really. There's no light bulb moment specifically that happened,
Hmm.
but you and I met, and I went to Salon Natural.
Hmm.
Then I met, or then I re met Daniel Padilla, who I knew him a long time ago, but
Hmm.
started him, and there was like several other um, artists that I met through Salon Natural, and this whole thing just started bubbling up. Like it wasn't bubbling up; it was like a fire hose, and I thought I was gonna be a writer. And so I was writing a bit, you know this too, actually. I was
Yeah.
writing
Well,
a
that's
bit,
what you
reading a bit,
were into when we first met. Is you were writing.
and I'm still am, but I was doing both, kind of like trying to like, hey, which feels, I don't know. It wasn't even, again, it wasn't conscious. It was coming from somewhere crazy.
Yeah.
And then this painting just took hold of me, and this whole abstract surrealism thing that I do, I can't even put a descriptor on it. I mean, I've got all these quote unquote influences, people I love, but I
Hmm.
can't really tell you why I paint the way I do, why people respond to it the way they do, other than it comes from someplace that I don't even know where it comes from. It comes from something somewhere else.
Somewhere inside.
And I'm a very chaotic person in my brain anyway. That's just kind of how I'm wired.
Hmm.
When I sit down to paint, it the chaos is gone. It is almost immediate. I mean, it's almost like a physical thing where I'll sit down. I'd always said some of my paintings a lot of movement, but I'll initially start in my little studio in the backyard. I'll just sit for a minute, and I'll just kind of like sit there for a second, and then it's almost like, so sounds so stupid, I think, but it's almost like the screen clears, and once the screen is clear, and it's not blank, it's just clear. And then I just pick up the brush and I don't even think about it. I just start doing what I'm doing. And sometimes
Just
I'll
start
pick up,
painting.
yeah, sometimes it won't be a brush. Sometimes like, you know what? I'm not feeling the brush today. I'm going to go out in the yard. And I'm going to throw shit around and see what sticks. So basically, literally, you know, um, and I'll go to an art museum now. I go to lots of art museums now and I'll get ideas and I'll like, oh, I'm going to steal that from that famous artist and I'm going to steal that from that famous artist. I don't steal the exact painting, but I'm like, oh, I
Well,
really like the way that looks.
yeah.
And then, but it's all,
It's
people
all
have asked me,
inspiration. I mean, artists all steal from each other in
oh,
certain
definitely,
ways.
yes.
If the only thing they're stealing is inspiration, there's nothing wrong with that.
I knew I was a real artist recently though, because someone's actually stole one of my paintings and put it on their website from like across the country. Like, oh man,
Wow.
I must really be a real painter now.
I can't wait till somebody does that with one of my photographs.
Yeah, well, believe me, it may have already happened. The only
And
reason
I
I
just don't
found
know
out,
about it.
yeah, a couple of my patrons, they were looking at my, I don't know even know why they were searching something, and that orange painting of mine. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? That big. Anyway,
I think
it
so,
looks it
yeah.
looks kind of like a Juan Moreau sort of ish looking thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
they were somehow, I don't even know what the reasoning was. They said, "Do you know about this?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's my painting. What is that?" They said, "Well, somebody in on the East Coast is saying it's their painting."
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
I made it. Anyway,
Well,
yeah. Anyway, I'm digressing. I don't know what we're talking about at this point.
so you're painting every day now, aren't you? Almost
Every
every
single
day?
day. Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with this bathroom, bathroom redoing, I'm trying to redo.
Are you
I
gonna do
had to
the
go out
bathroom
of.
walls in abstract?
That's a whole nother
Your husband
podcast.
might kill you.
No, but yeah, it's every single day. I mean, and sometimes it's not very long. Sometimes I'll have to put the finishing touches on something, or sometimes I'll
Mhm.
just need to clear my head. And just again, like I said, it has become the one single thing in my life that calms me down. Does that make sense? You know?
Yeah, I was gonna ask how is doing that every day kinda that habit, how's it changed the way you see the world?
Well, a lot of my paintings are protest paintings as well, based on the situation we find ourselves in the world, as you know.
Yeah.
It keeps, honestly, that's a hard question to answer. It keeps me sane. I mean, it is the one thing. I mean, it takes a village to keep me sane anyway. I've got anxiety disorders, and I've got medication and therapists and blah blah blah. But it's the
Yeah.
one big thing that I can go out and it just centers me, regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of what kind of mood I'm in. I don't know. Depending if I'm in like, whatever it is. I go out there and I just completely. I don't. It's hard. So hard for me to put in words. Something else takes over, I guess. Um, and I just start doing my thing, and it feels doesn't feel like work. It feels joyful most of the time. It feels um, calm most of the time, and it doesn't always. Let's say I sit down and I'm agitated, which happens a
Mhm.
lot for different reasons. Sometimes I'm just agitated because it's just who I am. I'll start the painting in an agitated kind of a way, and by the some period during this whole thing, it turns into something completely different. The agitation turns into um, a pattern that I'd never seen before. It's all about patterns with me too. I'll see patterns in things that make complete sense to me. That are, whatever synopsis or firing or misfiring in my brain, it'll create a pattern that I can put onto the canvas.
Mhm.
Um, and It it's just a man, it's funny considering trying to put it in words is really hard. It's just a
Yeah.
conduit for me to express myself. It makes sense to me.
It's who you are, and
Yeah.
you're finally doing the thing that is who you are, and all the rest of the world can go to hell.
And the way I know that it is for what you just said. It's I don't I have to do it. It's not like oh god, I've got to paint today. It's like I have to paint today. It's not like a job. It's like it's do you know Chastity Hernandez? She's a sculptor in town.
I may have heard the name.
Been a really good mentor of mine as well. She always talks about this. She talks about, um, about it coming from somewhere else and about it's just she says, I have to do this. She said, I can't explain it. She said, and she's a lesbian. She says, my wife doesn't understand it. She said, I don't always understand it. She said, I just know that I have to.
Yeah.
And her stuff is amazing as well. I mean, so I know, and I she's the kind of person that every time I see her, I don't see her very often, but every time I see her, it's 30-minute conversation between the two of us because we're just kind of plugged in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I, I say what I'm trying to say to you, and she'll say, "Oh yeah, yeah," and then we'll feed off of each other. And so that's the kind of artists that I've been meeting. These
Yeah.
really off the wall kind of um, people you wouldn't think would be an artist. But I'm as far away from you look at me, and I'm this far away from a typical what people probably have in their head as an artist as you could probably imagine.
Yeah,
But
you don't present yourself as someone who gets creative with their looks.
right,
Um, you don't wear the colored hair or the jewelry or the bright colors, but you definitely are very much a creative soul.
yes, I agree. Yeah. I just don't do it with that, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's just not where it comes from, for me. So I love people who do that. I admire them immensely. When I look at someone, I'll see somebody expressing themselves, with their body.
Hmm.
I I applaud that so much because it's just not a comfort zone that I have, right? But I admire it
Have you
so
wanted to?
yeah, yeah,
Let's go
in
get
some ways.
tattoos together.
Well, I'm covered in tattoos, man.
Oh, that's right, you are. Let's go get more.
It's I'm talking about, I don't know, what am I saying? I I think the most brave person in the world is this man who can walk into a place in skirt and heels, and he's a man, and he's walking into a bar or into a not even a bar, into a store. I have a couple of people in mind that are friends of mine. Man, they are brave, they are
Hmm.
creative, they are, um, all the things, and I love them so
Yeah.
much. Um,
Takes a lot of
not my
balls
Yeah, not my
to
comfort zone.
paraphrase, to be able to go out and live your life in such a way that makes other people uncomfortable, but which makes you feel whole.
But I bet they don't even think about it in those terms. I bet you they're, like, not worried. They're not now maybe some are trying to be provocative. That's probably true.
Yeah.
But I think some people many of these guys, a couple of friends of mine, very good friends of mine that I met, working at the bar as a bartender, um, that's just who they are, man. They're like, "This is how I'm expressing myself today. This is what we're gonna do," and they don't even yeah, it's like, they may or may not see the person staring a hole in them, and they may or may not even hear the person making a derogatory comment because they don't care.
Yeah.
This is how they that's another thing I know that I'm doing the right thing too, because I don't care anymore. At first I did, this. I cared
Yep.
about because I was really self-conscious about it. I didn't know I was very I don't know what the right word, but as I've gotten into this, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna do my thing and I don't care. I really truly do not care anymore. If you like it, I'm so happy that you do. But if you don't, I don't. Okay, that's fine. Then
It was a hard lesson for me to learn. I think I may have told you this story before. When I started getting into photography, my photography mentor um, told me one day when I was, fretting about whether or not I've got the shadows in this area, the photo right, or the light in this area, or did I frame it correctly, or are people going to like it? And he was like, "Oh, you still care what people think about your work."
Exactly.
And it had never occurred to me that you could be in a place where you didn't care what people thought about your artwork, but once you get to that place, man, it's freeing.
It was a revelation to me, honestly. I got there pretty fast though, because that's what I'm saying. I think I was just ready. I think I was just like, I was so much, it was just like right there, ready to just explode, just the whole, everything about it. So I think, at first I was really reticent and really hesitant to do, to put my stuff out there. And as I kept getting what I call green lights,
Mhm.
and not just selling anything. That's not what I'm talking about, but people encouraging me and people responding to the, because I paint with feeling. That's really it, man. I don't have a style. I'm not formally trained. I mean, come on. I mean, none of that. Everything I've learned from a technical standpoint, which I have learned some things, or self taught.
Yeah.
But man, I paint from here. I don't paint from here. I don't paint here from here at all. I paint all from here.
Yeah.
And so the point I was trying to make is I've allowed myself to continue to paint from my heart and my soul. It's become less and less important if I please anybody other than myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're pleasing plenty of people because, you've had your art on display. You mentioned Daniel Padilla, he does his art show. You've done his show a couple times now. You
Mhm.
sold a good number of works. Um, d what was it like seeing your work on display at an art show? How'd that feel?
It was ooh, I cried the first time. Of course, I'm a big crybaby anyway, but it was very humbling. It was humbling. It was exciting. It was um unbelievable the first time, you know? Um, it's still exciting, it's still exciting. It's still unbelievable sometimes. Um, but there's also now there's another element of relaxed joy, relaxed, look at my stuff. I love it. It's so cute. Or, that looks really good there. Or I fit in with these guys, or I don't know. It's all those other things I just mentioned initially, but now there's sort of a relaxed around relaxation around it where um again, I don't feel like I'm proving anything. I'm just showing you who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm really happy to show you who I am. I mean, and people were some guy recently even, some of my stuff is Jackson Pollocky. It's flattery, not all of it, but some of it is. He called me the poor man's Jackson Pollock. I said, I know you mean that as an insult. I said, but I'm okay with that. I said, I'm not trying to be Jackson Pollock. I said, it's just a style that I like. I said, but that's fine.
Yeah. You could be compared to worse.
Bitch, a little queen.
So I wanna break a little bit to talk about the piece that's behind me on the wall,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I'll put a bigger, better picture of it up,
Mhm.
in the final edit for people to see.
Okay.
But you can see in this photo some of the things that you were talking about where you've got some structure in it, but there's also some chaos in it. Um, Talk to me a little bit about what your thought process was when you were putting this one together.
So this is where, it's interesting. It's kind of in reverse of what I've been talking about actually, because sometimes I'll get in my head. I'm like, you know what, I should be less chaotic, or I should like try to be more structured, in my approach. Um, and so that period of time, actually, there's several that are in this kind of same vein where I said, oh, I started drawing lines and like measuring all that's measured out, and this is pro. I
Mhm.
like because I love the geometric parts of it, right? And I love all that because part of me is a very structured person. I was so structured for so many years that that's still a big part of me.
Yeah.
But I would step back and I would go, "Oh, yeah, that's just boring," or that doesn't. I don't know about that. That doesn't say who I am. So then I was like, oh, well, add some color, and I'd still, if you notice, the color is still a little more structured, but you can see it's starting to get a little not structured. And then by the
Yeah.
time
My eyes start with the black
yeah,
lines and the architectural structure of the black lines, and then
uh-huh,
my eyes kind of wander towards the less structured blue and yellow and red shapes.
yeah,
And then before you know it, your eyes are going all over the place with the squiggles. So it's almost like
because
looking
right.
at this photo, you start seeing structure, but then your eyes just see the chaos.
It's my brain. No, but what I'm saying, right? So I started out the opposite way I usually do. I usually start out chaotically, and it kind of comes into some kind of structure. This I started out very, um, I don't know what's the right word, structured. But what I'm trying is also a little bit confined, almost right in the
Yeah.
approach that I took. And by the end of it, I'm just like, no, this is no. We're gonna no. We have to do something else. So that's where all that movement and all of those pixelated play, not pixel, but all the splattering and all the dots and everything that I did that it's where it comes from because I cannot um that's it wasn't a complete picture. It wasn't a complete thought. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't a complete thought.
Yeah.
But once I did what I do, it became a complete thought. Yeah.
So I noticed on your Blue Sky account you made a post about talking about the messy middle in a painting being the hardest part of it. What was the messy middle of this painting, and what's it? How do you go from it being messy and unclear to pushing through and
Yeah.
seeing what you want to see?
So this was and this happens to a lot more me a lot more nowadays for sure too because I've gotten into much even more layering in that. But the messy middle for me was the structure. I'd done the black first. I did all the black lines, and I started doing the structured colors as color blocks as well. And and I just and this happens to me a lot during our process. I'm like, I don't like this. This
Hmm.
doesn't speak to me. So I just get up and walk away. And sometimes I'll stay away for weeks. This one I didn't. I don't think I stayed away from weeks, but and it's and I'll you know s- sometimes I'll just sit there and stare at it and nothing happens, and sometimes I'll walk away and nothing happens. Sometimes I'll almost give up on it, and I've got this like little side area, where all these paintings that kind of live that I don't really know what to do with anymore, and so this didn't live there very long, but this was one of those that I was like, I don't really know where to take this anymore. So the messy middle can be a long time, it can be a short time, but there's always in almost everything I do actually nowadays, because there is this messy middle, there's always this point where I catch this is what I'm trying to say. So where I catch myself thinking about it too much. I catch myself trying to make it something rather than just painting where my art comes from.
Hmm.
That's the messy middle happens when I am trying too hard. The messy middle happens when I am trying to create something rather than just creating something. And so that
Trying to
happens.
create it, then just letting it become what it is.
Correct. Once I let go of that, almost without fail, something beautiful happens. And I'm not just saying this because you have this. This is one of my favorite pieces that I've
I'm
ever
happy
done.
I have
Yeah.
this. I really love
Yeah.
this piece. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't know what it is about this piece, but it really kind of speaks to me. And I love my friend Oz, and I want that to be the background
Oh,
for
I
my
love you too.
podcast.
Um, Thank you for that. I really appreciate you saying that. I did one based on Wicked, and I called it Infinite Clock Ticks. It's
Uh-huh.
one of those that started out again. It was like I did this again. I was trying to be very structured, trying to be very. Oh, I'm going to try something new. Anyway, nope, not happening. And I created this weird, crazy, looks like an acid trip painting. Um, And I mean, I thought, oh, nobody's going to want that. It's, it's just one of those weird things that's in my head. The last show I was at is it's the first thing that sold because
Yeah.
people, again, they, for some reason, people can tell when I'm in a painting. They can also tell when I'm not in the painting, right? Um, it's just one of those things that I can't explain. But it happens all the time. This whole middle thing is a I guess it's maybe part of my process. It's not really
Sounds
conscious,
like it.
but maybe it is. Yeah.
Sounds like maybe you've got to start with something and then you get to a place where you're like, I'm not quite sure what this is becoming.
hmm
And then you've got to step back from it and figure out what it's supposed to be and just let it become maybe.
Most of the time, and occasionally it'll be fast. Like there'll be some
Yeah.
times where I'm like, wow, that came into my brain and got and then put it on the canvas really fast. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes, man, it'll be fast. But that
What do
doesn't
you
happen.
think the fastest start to finish
I don't want to
artwork
tell
you've
you because
done?
an hour,
An hour? Wow.
an hour total. No, so everything I do is layered. So I mean, there's this one painting that I won't even tell you which one it is because I don't want anybody to like think I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I didn't. Um, and it's beautiful. But I spent like 10 minutes on it, put it aside, worked on other stuff. I was like, oh, I'm going to add that. So about the next day, I added something else. So, that's not quite ready. Okay. Anyway, long story short, like 3 or 4 days later, an hour maybe max, it was done. People
Wow.
loved it, but that didn't happen very often. So,
So looking ahead, what's your dream for where these daily paintings could take you and your voice?
okay. I mean, I have ambition. I'll be very completely honest with you. I want, now that I'm comfortable with my style and now that I'm comfortable knowing that what I'm doing is actually something, you know, I have ambitions about as many people possible seeing it. It's not financial ambition, but
Hmm.
it's just getting out there to as many people as I can to show what I am about. And that's why this year's goal is to have my own like Oz show just for all, so far I've been with other people, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I want to do I want to do more of that too.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for my own show. Now is the world ready for that? I'm not sure. But in my brain, this year is a goal of mine to have a solo show somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
I
um,
would love to see that for you.
I've got a lot of, see my little planner here. It's stacked full of my year, but it's 3 years worth of work. I mean, I can't do it all
Yeah.
in a year. Um, but yeah, that's my goal this year is to penetrate the actual Dallas art scene more so I can understand, I feel like I've got the community scene down pretty well. I've got my community love. Everybody in the
Hmm.
Dallas community knows me and it's awesome. And I want that to continue. I just want to penetrate the Dallas art scene as a whole more and learn more. I mean, I feel like I have so much to learn, but I mean, selfishly, I would like to have my own show. And I think I was telling you earlier before we started the podcast that I have two ideas. I have one thing I haven't mentioned. My protest paintings um, uh, are well received, and those things sell almost immediately. And I have all these different types of protest paintings. So that's one show I want to do. And
Hmm.
I probably have 15, 20 paintings in my head already. But then I want to do kind of an Oz style show, of my style and kind of how it's evolved
Hmm.
or how it is evolving. So those are two shows. Now, selfishly, I don't think I have two shows, but one or the other would be a successful year for me if I could do one or the other and
Yeah.
continue doing this community stuff as well. So
I love the
did that answer your
protest stuff you
question?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I love the protest stuff you do because I think, as you say, that a lot of your art comes from the heart. So, you put a lot of emotion into those protests. pieces that you put together. And I think that'll resonate with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
I'm
does. And
happy to see
I actually
those.
have one. I mean, it's weird talking about patrons. People who I have repeat people now that like ask me what do you got this new? And one of the people that buys a lot of my stuff, he saw one of my protest paintings on one of the posts I made, and he came before the show opened, last show at Daniel's, and he reserved it for himself because he had to have my protest painting. I mean,
Wow.
that just gives me chills. It humbles me. It gives me chills. It makes me happy. All the things.
Yeah.
Um, that someone would think these things about something that I created is just incredible.
Well, maybe he's not the first person to think those things about you. There's
Mm-hmm.
your grandmother who saw you, the specialty of your art in you, and
Mm-hmm.
bought those things for you, and other things people who have come and inspired you, um,
Yeah.
see greatness in you.
Yeah, my
You
grandma,
just got to see
man,
it in yourself.
that woman, she was amazing. She
So
saw me.
yeah, she saw you.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think she knew you were gay?
I do. And then later on, I came out, but yes, she definitely knew.
Yeah.
Quick aside, I won't get too far into it, but Dave got to meet her before she died. Not very. She died like maybe less than a year after Dave and I got together.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of my, I'm not going to cry. One of my favorite memories is she grabbed David by the hand and said, "Take care of my boy."
Oh,
And Dave and I had been together for not even a year, I think. So yeah, my grandma, she was amazing. She knew
I
she
feel
knew everything.
like gay boys have a special relationship with their grandmothers. I know I
My
did.
grandparents, yeah, my grandparents, they stepped up, man. My parents weren't that great, but my grandparents stepped up and took care
Yeah.
of everything. Yeah. But yeah, my grandma, I don't know. She's amazing. I miss her. So
Um,
there we go.
if you could whisper one thing to another young queer artist that's kind of staring at their own messy middle, what would it be?
Mhm. Listen to that voice inside you. Do not listen to the noise outside you, because that voice inside you will never go wrong. It is the voice to trust. That little small quiet voice is the voice to trust. Not all that loud crap, not all that negative crap, not all that stuff from outside yourself. It's that
Yep.
little tiny voice. That's what I would say.
I heard somebody say one time uh, that your when your intuition is talking to you, it speaks in complete sentences. When anxiety talks to you, it asks you questions.
I love that.
And
I
I
would
had
agree.
never considered that before, but it makes sense. Your
It does.
intuition tells you do that, go do that, and anxiety says, should you do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up, this is
Okay.
my favorite part of the show. These
Uh
are kind of quick fire round of questions. They're all inspired by the legendary Inside the Actors Studio. So if
oh.
you've
Oh
ever
gosh,
watched that
yes.
show,
Lipton. What's his name? Lipton.
he had top 10 questions, but I've kind of updated them with a little bit of a queer creative twist. So no overthinking, just raw answers. You ready?
Ready?
All right. What's your favorite artistic medium or tool?
Acrylic paint and paintbrush sticks or paint sticks that you get at Home Depot.
What artistic trend or cliche do you wish would disappear?
Oh my God. Do I even know? Artistic trend or cliche. Anything crafty. I hate to say that, but anything crafty.
Yeah.
I don't like crafts. Yeah. I kind of,
What
yeah.
what fuels your creativity the most?
My emotions. And it's not, it's anywhere, and it runs the gamut. from joy to anger and everything. But sometimes rage. I'd be honest with you. Sometimes extreme joy. But I paint completely from emotion most of the time. So yeah.
What sound or noise instantly inspires you?
Oh God, what sound or noise? I don't know the answer. I don't know how to answer that one. A dog's bark. Anytime I hear my dog, you see my dog.
Yeah, I see him.
Any noise that comes out of that little 14-year-old thing, I
He's
love.
adorable.
Any kind of dog noise. Yeah.
What sound or noise completely kills your focus?
Whiny people. When I hear people whine, any kind of that kind of noise.
What's your favorite word or phrase to include in your work, whether literally or metaphorically?
Joy. Yeah.
If you could see any queer artist, living or dead, honored with a major public monument, who would it be?
I don't think maybe Basquiat, because he did not get to do what he was probably going to do. His life got cut short. He and Herring as well, but Herring, I love him so much, Keith Haring. But something about Basquiat's work, I think it's the neo-expressionism, because I really like the expression, the what I call the the real abstract expressionists like Pollock and Miro and all those guys, Jasper John or whatever. Anyway, I feel like Basquiat would have been that, but he didn't. He died, so he didn't get to do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we lost a lot of amazing potential creativity with an entire generation of gay men that did not survive that crisis.
For sure.
What is one profession or creative field you could never see yourself in?
Accounting.
Everybody says that one.
Boring.
Except I had one artist who said, I actually do accounting during the day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
or anything with, like you guys, with anything with computers, forget it. Forget about it. I'm a Luddite. I need a real book. I need no. I can barely do this.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. If your art could take on a life of its own, what form would it take?
It would be formless. It would be some sort of whimsical, crazy,
some kind of crazy abstract form.
Yeah. So like I'm not a surrealist artist at all, but I feel like that's what goes on in my head all the time. I feel like things melt. I have a Salvador Dali mind.
And then finally, 100 years from now, what do you hope your art says about you to those who find it in the future?
I just hope they see the spirit in which I created the art, as far as in the honesty of the art. I hope they see that, and I hope they see that it comes from a place of joy and hope and all that. Because I feel like even some of the dark stuff I do is like it's always hopeful in some way or another. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Oz, I really enjoyed doing this conversation with you.
I did too. Yeah. Thanks.
I can't wait to edit this one and get it out for the year 2 of Art in the Raw podcast.
Thanks for including me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I wouldn't have skipped you at all.